So, last time I showed you the radio which I have chosen, basically this one, and now we have to see if this radio works. In the beginning of the project I told you that basically everything is plug and play, and except for this guy right here, which is the cable that we already put in for the hazard light switch and the other accessory switches. And that was true for the most part. As you can see, this car comes with the standard radio connectors basically pre-wired. This means that everything should be plug and play. Unfortunately, it is plug but is not play. So this radio right here, it came with this cable. So this is the part that goes to the radio, the proprietary panel plug, and this here are the standard plugs. Normally, under normal circumstances for any other car, this would work. However, Mercedes, on their cars it's a bit different, because the original Mercedes radio only uses a constant 12 volt from the battery, and then instead of using power, so switch on power coming through this guy, it uses the CAN connectors, which are these here. So these here are the CAN high and the CAN low. So basically the radio has its power through this. It knows whether the car is on or off. So there are two ways to go about it. There is one way where you get the plug, the proper plug, which goes from these three guys right here to this, and then also has a separate plug for your steering wheel controls. Since I won't be using these, I don't really care. I am trying to get this thing done as cheap as possible. So how are we going to proceed further? This connector here that is from the car with the brightly colored wires, that's the speaker wires. These are all set. These don't matter. They're done. This, the CAN high and low, we're not gonna use. We can just stick it right here. All we have to do is with this guy. So as you can see, this pin right here, pin number 7, it's empty. And that usually is, you can see here, pin number 7. I'll also be putting a wiring diagram in this insert here, so you can see why exactly this pin, but basically this pin corresponds to the red wire on this thing, and that is the switch on accessory power. The yellow wire is the constant 12 volt power, and the black one is the ground. So these here are the most important wires. As you can see, I have connected the red and the yellow, so the constant 12 volt, with the switch on power in order to test the radio. This is necessary because before adding a pin to this connector, to pin number 7 for the switch on power, or tapping directly into this guy right here, which is for the lighter, I wanted to see if the radio will work on its own. So someone already did this, so this wire was pre-cut. If I'm not mistaken, it is a switch on power for the, yeah, it is. So this is the plug for the lighter, and this black and yellow wire, to which someone already tapped this connector, is the switch on accessory power. So basically this guy, the lighter, gets power when the key is in position number 1, 2 and 3, so basically when the car is on. So before doing this, I want to check if the radio works, and it does, as I will show you right now. So we have these two connectors basically tied together with some electrical tape. Now we're going to plug the speaker wires. It's a little bit difficult to do with one hand, but here it is, speaker wires, and turn this connector around we have the power for the radio. So now this thing is fully connected. We take our radio, put it right like this, and then all we need to do is plug this bad boy into the radio itself like this. So now, theoretically, yeah, the radio already starts because it gets constant 12 volt power from the car, because the switch on power, which is the red one, and the yellow one are stuck together. So as you can see now, I have wired the red wire from the harness of the radio to the orange wire, which is our switch on ignition. Now when I go ahead and plug in the radio, which is right here, everything should be working fine. I have the radio here. It is a bit more difficult to do one-handed, but just plug it in. Here is the radio, and now we take our key, just to show you, radio not working, it's not powering on. We put in our key, turn it to some of the accessories, and radio is working. We still hear the static noise because we don't have the antenna plugged in, but in order to get this antenna to work, we will be needing different adapters, because the antenna that comes on this car looks like this, and this radio doesn't have the right adapter for the antenna. So now I have to buy one. Unfortunately, at this hour, as you can see, it is already a bit late. I will have to do that tomorrow, but for now at least we have established that the radio does work, everything is fine, and we can start reassembling everything else in the dash, which I will show you in a second. So the first thing in the process of reassembly that you will need is a bezel. Because we are using an aftermarket radio, we need a bezel that can accommodate this aftermarket radio, and what I've got is this. As you can see, it is a little broken, but the reason why I chose this bezel instead of going with a brand new one is there are basically two reasons. First, I got it super cheap. I got it for only a couple of bucks. Second, as you can see, if I put it in, it fits perfectly. It fits snug and perfectly. The thing is that there are a lot of these bezels online, but some of them, even though they say CLK C209, they're actually for the W203 sedan, and the bezels for the W203 sedan are larger. So at the top they're 1 centimeter wider, which means that they will protrude further out, and they will not line up with the trim that we will be putting on top for the hazard light switch and the other accessory switches. So this is the reason why I went with this one. Secondly, I will be reconditioning this bezel, making it look brand new. I will show that in another video. For now, let's just continue on with the reassembly, and I will show you everything else that you will need. So first thing is, you need a bezel that fits. That's for the C09. Better buy something that has a nice return policy so you can try and fit it. If it doesn't fit, you can return it and buy another one. So how this fits is there are 4 screws, one here, 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 and here. So these look okay. Here on the top we can see that they are broken, so I will be using some washers, some metal washers, to make it fit. I will do this off camera and I will show you how this thing is installed. But basically you put it in, you line it up with the screw holes, put the washers on the top for mine because it's broken, screw it in, maybe put in some washers for here just for good measure, screw that thing in. One more thing, in order to make the climate control panel here snap in properly, you will be needing these things. So these are little clips. They go basically in like this. When you screw it in, this goes this direction. So when you buy the climate controls from someone, please make sure he also sends you these guys right here. You will be needing 2 of those. Without these, you won't be able to properly mount the climate controls that go underneath here. So let me screw everything off camera and I will show you exactly how everything should look. So everything is nicely snug in place. A small note, these clips actually go up, not down like I said before. So as you can see, it's pointing up, not down, this part right here. So don't over tighten this, doesn't need to be crazy tight, it is plastic, it will break if you over tighten the screws. So that's probably what the previous owner did, just make it snug, it's not going to go anywhere, and that's basically it. The next thing is we will need to put in the accessory buttons with the hazard light switch here on the top. Normally, as you can see, there are 2 little holes, one here, one also here. There are clips that go in there and make it clip. I don't have those, so what I will be doing is I will be zip tying it through the bottom. There is some place where you can basically stick the zip ties, just zip tied in so it doesn't fly around. It just rests here on the top, zip tied. I don't think it's going to be a problem. I will show you how to do that next. Here is the hazard light switch with the accessory buttons panel that I have bought secondhand. As you can see, this comes with a aluminum style trim. This is unfortunate because the climate controls that I got come with another style of aluminum trim. And don't forget that I also have the ashtray with my original wood trim, so this will look quite janky. So what I've done is I've actually procured and bought from another seller a complete trim, complete wood grain trim, the newer style one from the facelifted car, which looks darker, looks nicer, to go for everything. So for this panel here, for this, for the shifter assembly here, and also for the ashtray which goes here, I've bought that as well. So how do you change the paneling? Or if you would like, instead of buying the trim itself, you can just take these things off and basically respray them or vinyl them or whatever. So how do you do that? As you can see, there are some screws here. Usually there are more screws, but on this panel there are only left 1 and 2. You can see there are holes here, here, and on each side here, and also on this side right here. You just take those out and the buttons will be separated from the trim. For the climate controls, which is this part right here, same deal. 1, 2, 3 and 4 screws, take them out and it will be separated from the trim itself. So you'll be only left with the plastic assembly here with the buttons, no trim. Same for this. I will go ahead, take the trims off, reassemble them with the new pieces of trim that I got, and I will also show you how to do that for the ashtray. So the ashtray is an even simpler way to do it. Basically, there are a couple of tabs. So if this is how it stays here, basically inside, on each side here, stay closed. Okay, so there is a little tab here, this tab here. There's also a small tab on the other side, this tab right here. Just press these out and the wood trim will just come out this way. It will go up and towards you and it will come out. So if you have it switched around like this, unclip the clips here on the other side and it will go this way. Don't try and push it just directly up or to the front, because there is a small ridge here in the front where it actually stays, and if you try to do that, you'll simply not be able to take it out. So I'll go ahead, I'll take all the trim out, switch it out to the new trim that I have, and I will show you how to put everything in. So it is getting considerably darker, so I've put in the light on the camera. Basically, here is now my control, my upper controls for the accessories and the hazard light switch. So basically what you do is you go ahead and plug it in to this guy right here. It won't be that easy to do with one hand, so I'll just plug it in and I will show you how to do it, how to put it in. So I've plugged it in, the connector goes right there, and you basically being mindful of the wire behind, just put this guy right in. As you can see, there is some play because it's not bolted down to anything, as I wasn't able to find the proper clips. No one was willing to sell those, and the panel that I bought didn't come with those, but as you can see, the panel is in place, it is working. Everything on here does indeed work. So I'll go ahead, I'll zip tie it in place, and I will show you how we put in the climate controls. Well, actually I will show you the climate controls first. So here are the climate controls. They are already with this nice wood trim as well. They have two connectors on the back, so this big connector here and the smaller one. They are exactly the same as on the pre-facelift one. So all you need to do is basically take your big wire, plug it in, take your small wire, this guy right here, plug that thing in as well. So let's see if I can move the shifter, yes, with one hand. So now we just go ahead and plug in this guy, snap, and this big wire here as well. It actually goes this way, and that guy snaps into place as well. So now, as you can see, there are these tabs here and on the other side, and this is why it was important to have these guys here, these little clips pointing up, so that so these are the tabs pointing up and the clips that go in this region. So now there are also these little pegs. They have to line up with this screw hole and this screw hole. So you basically take this entire unit, you snap it in the top first until you hear a small click, and then it is already snug in place. And what you need to do is just put in the screws, one right here, one right here on the other side, and we can move on to the ashtray, to assembling the ashtray. So I'll put in the screws and I will show you how we put in the ashtray back in. So it is screwed in place. As you can see, I've put in some nice washers, and here is how I have outfitted the ashtray with the new trim as well. So as you can see and remember, there is a small electrical connection that we will need to plug in. So this guy right here needs to snap to this connector. Once done, you basically just go like this with the ashtray and it will snap in place. So as you can see now, these little tabs here and here, they're snapped in place on the metal bracket, and the ashtray looks perfectly in its place and it is working. So now the other thing is we will have to get our big piece of trim that goes around the shifter assembly and put that thing in as well, being mindful of this little cable which we will need to plug into the shifter controls for winter and comfort or sport and comfort modes, depending on which region the car was bought from. So here is my new trim. As you can see here, there are some hook clips. So basically, in order for everything to fit right, you just go with this big hook and you go from the front to the back. It will snap here. Take your cable, prepare it to be plugged in, and once everything is connected, you can see that there are these clips here in the front, which will need to basically snap here, and on the other side there is an identical piece. So just being mindful of the trim itself, not to break it, just snap it in place and everything will be okay. Basically, if you have it like this, just press it hard on top and it will snap in, no problems. Okay, so now I will prepare the shifter assembly, the gear knob itself, not the shifter assembly, the gear knob itself, which is this guy right here, and the connector, this pinkish violet connector goes in here. You plug it in and that controls this guy right here. So winter sport on my vehicle and perhaps comfort and sport mode on yours. I'll go ahead and do that off camera and I will show you the end result. So here is how everything should look once you have plugged everything in. What I will show you now is basically that all of the climate controls and everything works. I just need to put the car in ignition 2, and as you can see, I have auto, recirculation, windshield defrost, the speed of the fan. You can hear it increases depending on where I have it. And if I also turn on the lights and switch off the camera light, it will actually light up in the dark. I don't know if you can see it. Well, I can switch off the camera light, but it does light in the dark. This is also lit up. Everything else is lit up. From this angle you can see it a little bit better. So everything is working fine now. On the next part of this series I will show you how to fix this and how to basically mate the radio to its place right here. So that's all for this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, please subscribe, give it a thumbs up. There will be more videos from this car and from my other Mercedes coming soon. Thank you very much for watching. Peace.